for your 1-minute introduction.
So like everybody said tonight, I appreciate everybody sticking around. I know it's been a long evening so far, but I've lived in Whitestown since 2016, and in that time I've been fortunate enough to serve on the Plan Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals. One of the things that drew me to this area was it reminded me a lot of where I grew up. Everybody was really inviting. The neighborhood had the small town feel, but it also offered the conveniences of being closely located to Indianapolis, closely located to the airport. I can understand why Whitestown is a big destination for a lot of residents and why we have been experiencing dramatic growth year over year.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanya Sumner. I'm running for Whitestown Town Council District 3. My family moved here 12 years ago, and we immediately fell in love with Whitestown. We were so excited about the blank slate that it was then. It was really all cornfields and Walker Farms, and the opportunity that was there for growth and expansion and building an identity and a place that everyone could be proud to live in. So I tried to get a job with the town, which I did, and I became the first ever public relations director and assistant town manager in 2015. In that role, I was deeply involved in our vision for the future, in creating that identity and that quality of place that I talked about. Our comprehensive plan called for buffer zones back then between warehouses and residential, and it was a really good plan that we had. We had a mantra of transparency then and engaging with our residents because, as we always said, after all, they are our bosses, right? They pay our salaries. I'm running for Whitestown Town Council to give that voice back to the residents, to bring back that smart growth plan for the future. We need to improve our infrastructure. We need more green space. Wow, that went really fast. And I thought if I read it, I would stay on time.
It doesn't work, I know. All right, we're gonna start with Philip. Philip, name a few things and areas where Whitestown has done well, and maybe a few areas that Whitestown could improve upon in the future.
So one of the things that Whitestown has done a fantastic job with is their Parks Department. Recently they presented their master plan for the next, I believe it was 5 years, and how they plan to grow the parks. They've done really well with incorporating the walking trails around all the neighborhoods, around all the developments, making that part of the new developments. The town does a fantastic job with their emergency services, with police, fire. I tell everybody that you can't probably be more than about a mile from a police officer at any time in Whitestown. Unfortunately, I haven't had to deal with them, and I hope that I don't have to deal with them. Some of the things that Whitestown could improve on is just transparency, to be more open with the things that the council's approving with their agendas. That goes by really quick.
I know. I'll agree with Philip on public safety. I think Whitestown has done a great job, and I will thank our previous chief of police, Dennis Anderson, for that. He was a real visionary and thought ahead and planned for the growth that he knew was coming, and because of that, we've really stayed on top, I think, of hiring our police and fire and done a great job of public safety, which is really, the number one reason that government's around is to protect its citizens, right? I would disagree on the parks thing. I don't think that we've had that same vision in looking ahead to parks. Zionsville, for example, where it is not much bigger than we are as we grow, Zionsville has 500 acres of green space and parks. Whitestown currently has 50. In fact, we gave away 11 of the acres just last year. So I think we need to do a better job of really thinking ahead as far as green space and trails and planning, securing that land now, and also infrastructure. I think we've been a little bit behind with the infrastructure planning with the growth. That needs to stay ahead of the growth. We have roads that are 2-lane county roads that are just not fit for the traffic that has come with all the growth. So I'd really like to see infrastructure be a priority.
Okay, Tanya, we'll start with you. What would you like to accomplish in your first 100 days in office?
It's like a presidential.
That's right.
First 100 days. Well, I would say, first of all, bringing back the transparency, communication, and voice of the people, voice of the residents. I feel that was a really strong priority back when I worked with the town from 2015 to about 2020, and I feel like we've lost that somewhere along the way. So I think starting out with communication, transparency, just getting our message out there and getting the residents engaged again would be number one in the first 100 days. And then also just evaluating, like Eric Nichols said, we have an all-new council, so this is a really unique opportunity for Whitestown. We haven't seen this in 12, 16 years, maybe ever, I don't know. So getting just a lay of the land, learning with the other council members, learning how to work with them, and planning for the future, just looking ahead, planning forward with everything, I think is the answer.
So I have to agree with Tanya. That's a really hard question to answer, but one of the first things would be to, like Tanya said, to bring back that transparency. I feel that the council, being an elected position, they need to be more open with how the money is being spent rather than just lumping items together and approving it in about 2 minutes. I've attended numerous council meetings where that's been the case, and I think that we owe it to the residents to give some explanation on how the money is being spent. And then again, what Tanya said, it's going to be a whole new council. I know Eric is returning, but it's, as he said, he's new too. And I think it's just going to be figuring out how the council itself is going to mesh together, and figuring out everybody's strengths, and learning all this as we go along.
All right, let's hear it for District 3.